Coming up on the Fish Hunt Forever podcast. In Saskatchewan now, non-residents will have 2 5-day periods in the fall to hunt waterfowl.
It's been one of those weeks where I'm almost embarrassed to be a part of the waterfowl hunting community.
Well, now residents get the first 2 weekends to hunt.
Open water right out in front of the landing.
We'll see if that makes a difference in Saskatchewan or if that makes a difference somewhere else.
I don't think it will.
This is the Fish Hunt Forever podcast, presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. All right, welcome to the show. We got a lot to get to. So much going on in the fishing world, so much going on in the hunting world and the waterfowl world, and we're going to try to get to it all. Some new regulations in the works. If you hunt North Dakota or if you hunt up in Saskatchewan, there's been some changes that you've probably seen on social media or on the interwebs. And we'll give you our opinions on what we think will happen because of those changes. What won't happen. We'll talk about that. Joe Henry will join us. I think I'm just waiting on a river report, too, from Paul Johnson at Riverbend. I think he's got a report. He's going to the accesses right now.
Hopefully he's not stuck in a ditch.
So we're recording this midday on Wednesday, and we're going to have an up-to-date, up-to-the-minute, ladies and gentlemen, Rainy River report for our big old SGR 500 tournament that's coming up April 7th and 8th. We'll be based out of Riverbend Resort. There it is right there. Nice job, Dan. On the ball today. Nice work. Love it. Nice work. All right, that's Dan Amundson. Dan Amundson right over there. What's up, Dan?
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Look at this guy. Would you look at this guy?
It's a lap of luxury over here.
Just look at him. David has got a new chair. He complained about the chair so much last week. We got him.
You look so relaxed. I think you're just watching loons in your chair over there.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little jealous.
It's pretty comfy.
Well, you'd break it. So this is the issue. This is why we've played chair roulette the last 3 weeks, is because you continually break office chairs somehow. I don't know how. And you're going to, well, I don't know. You can tell that story of what you have appointments for now because of it. But
everything. I'm getting old, Dan.
Well, I know.
Everything.
One is sitting in an office chair.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got... Yeah, so like I've been having like muscle issues in my chest, you know, and so anytime you get a sharp pain in the left side of your chest, it's like, whoa, whoa. But I think it's a lot has to do with the way I sit and the posture and the way I sit. I think the whole, whoa. I learned all about ergonomics, desk ergonomics at the physical therapist the other day. So
going to PT because he can't sit in a chair right.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have a stand-up desk or one of those... bike
you're
pedals
pedaling
underneath.
Yeah.
What if he does this show on a stationary bike from now on?
No, I'm not going to lie.
You're
like
just sitting there just biking, doing a podcast. You're on a Peloton.
Oh, here comes a big hill.
I've thought about doing a stand-up desk, and honestly, you watch like Pat McAfee or whatever in his show, and he's always moving around anyway, and he's kind of yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
I don't think he can just sit still.
He probably
think he
can't.
just has issues.
But I want a big video board behind me with just like waterfowl hunts and maybe
swearing on
fishing.
Well, we have that.
We don't need any swearing, but
Well, that's Pat McAfee does.
I know,
and he
but
wears a bro tank every time.
Yeah, I'm not going to do
Please
that.
don't.
I'm not going to do that
I
either.
will quit.
But I do like the idea of standing up for the show. I think so. I've done radio for so long, and that was one thing. A lot of places they told us, you know, it was high desks with computers and the big board way up here, and it was done like that on purpose. And you'd get a high stool that you could sit on, but they didn't want you on that stool because you have so much more energy when you're standing up and moving around. Otherwise, you get like David back here and you're dozing off a little bit and
soak right into this chair.
Yeah, you're talking quieter and way more.
Good night, David.
Figure it out.
Wake you up when the show's over.
Yeah.
All right, we got a lot to get to, Dan. Why don't we hit the sponsors here quick, and then we'll get into some headlines.
All right, how about that? Lake of the Woods Tourism brings you this show. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world. Plan a fishing trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. OnX Hunt, see private land boundaries, offline maps, and more. Take 20% off a new membership with the code SJR20. Haybell Heights Campground and Resort, Fish Devil's Lake at Haybell Heights. Learn more at haybellheights.com. Riverbend Resort, put yourself in the heart of the fish migration at the Rainy River in Lake of the Woods with Riverbend Resort. And Prairie Sportsman, we've got new episodes every Sunday right now. You can watch episodes anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel or check your TV guide for airtimes, and Space Trailers is also part of the show still.
I love it.
Yes.
I'm addicted to it.
You're addicted to space trailers. You might want to get that, make another appointment.
They're
get
nice
that.
trailers.
I know, but it's like the What was that show on like TLC, like My Weird Addiction or something? And the guy
My Strange Addiction.
Yeah, and the guy was like in love with his car. Like he would make love to his vehicle.
Look at this guy.
No, don't look at that guy. It's weird.
People would eat like pink insulation.
Yeah, well, I can get that because that stuff looks like cotton candy. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, don't eat it.
Well, I know it's gonna rip up your
fiberglass.
insides, but it like if you had to pick one that was worse than the other, it'd say eat fiberglass instead of making love to your vehicle or your space trailer.
I'm not sure I like either one of those options.
Oh, I don't either, but hypothetical.
Is there a third option?
No,
Those are the only options.
See, remember when we made fun of David because we were doing hypotheticals and he just goes, well, I would do this one. Well, play along the game.
So if I had to really love my vehicle or eat pink insulation,
what about yellow insulation?
I'm going for the truck. I like my truck.
What?
I'm not eating fiberglass.
I'd rather... Here's the thing. Okay, picture this. We have so much to get to, and this is what we're talking about. But okay,
really went off the rails.
Okay, picture those two activities.
I don't want to picture either one of them. Honestly,
don't. But if you had to get if somebody was going to catch you in the act, which one would you rather have somebody take a picture of you doing?
What?
Well,
at least the insulation looks like cotton candy.
but I think the other thing, you're at least enjoying yourself. Instead of having digestive problems for the rest of your life.
If you're addicted to it, though, you probably kind of like it, unless you're just...
Yeah.
True. So that you're going to like eating the insulation because you're addicted to it.
New topic.
I have that button.
Let's move on.
New topic.
All right. Let's do some... Did we do headlines yet? Have we started headlines?
No, because we were talking...
That.
You went off the rails talking about being addicted to your space trailer.
Headlines.
Oh, no!
I don't know where this show is going. Headlines brought to you by Space Trailers. I really like them so much. I do like it. They're very lightweight. They don't take up a lot of space. You can camp out of them. You can store a bunch. You can haul 1,000 pounds worth of gear. They're 600-pound trailers, so you can just pick it up and move it around. You can actually tip it up and store it on its side. It's a Minnesota company based in Red Wing. Go to spacetrailers.com for more details. Well, we got to talk waterfowl to start because North Dakota's waterfowl season opens for residents September 26th, while non-residents may begin hunting October 5. Now, you may hear that and go, okay, well, non-residents are always a week later. Well, the change this year is it's 9 days later because now residents get the first 2 weekends to hunt, so your non-resident season will not start until Monday.
Yeah, there were actually a lot of people that commented like, this is nothing new. It's always been this way. Because I don't think they realized that it was 2 days later. They thought it was just a headline about the non-resident season opening later. But yeah.
Nope.
And it only sounds like 2 days, but yeah, it's a weekend that's gone. So it's not like you just ripped out a Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday, Thursday. You ripped a weekend out. So, the problems are all fixed now for resident hunters.
This change, which was first presented to the public starting summer of 2025, provides additional early season opportunities for residents. The zones and overall season structure for non-resident hunters will remain the same as last year. So what this means is that those residents get the first 2 weekends. Non-residents will still have 2 7-day periods to hunt in different zones. If you want to hunt in 2 different zones during your 7 days, that counts as your 14. Now, what are we hearing? It's another negative headline towards non-residents. Residents and guides are happy. Some non-residents don't care because they don't go until later in the season anyway, which, this highlights the whole problem with the waterfowl world and the social media world, because we saw some guy who we know, he's an outdoor writer, and he said, it doesn't matter to me because I normally just go to North Dakota in November. I go a little bit later. Well, somebody, I don't know if he's a North Dakota resident or what, but posted a GIF of somebody giving him the finger.
Yeah.
Like,
I hate to make blanket statements about anybody, but North Dakotans, like the last 5 years, especially North Dakota resident waterfowl hunters, have really done a great job of losing my respect because of things like that. Well, and I know they're upset about their hunting. They just want good hunting, but it's gotten so disrespectful it's been made very clear that we are not welcome to go to that state as far as a lot of residents go. And okay.
Here's the thing, though. It's not just North Dakota. It's happening everywhere.
I know.
Saskatchewan, now some of the residents are like, there was so much anti-American bias in the Saskatchewan change that's coming up. But even when I lived in North Dakota and I lived in Fargo and I'd go out west to hunt waterfowl, and if I'd knock on a door or something, they'd be like, first thing they do is look at my license plate. Oh, North Dakota. Okay, yeah, where are you from? And if I said Fargo, Like, well, we got some locals, or I got cousins or nephews or whatever. But if I said, oh, I'm from, the next town over, they're like, oh yeah, just tomorrow? Yep, no problem. Go right ahead. Like it wasn't even like I was a resident in North Dakota,
right.
But because I came from the city and I was still traveling, I wasn't a local resident.
Yeah. The root of all of these things is selfishness. Selfishness of non-resident hunters not caring and rutting up fields and being disrespectful. Selfishness of resident hunters saying, these are my birds, they're our birds, stay out, they're mine, they're ours, they're not yours, go home, hunt your own birds. When they're a migrating bird, they're, not really yours either. But so there's issues on both ends of the spectrum from residents and non-residents. And it's just, I don't know. It's been one of those weeks where I'm almost embarrassed to be a part of the waterfowl hunting community.
Well, and we've almost done it to ourselves, because what happened, 25 years ago, people started to hunt more in the fields, layout blinds, big spreads, chasing feeds. Minnesota's kind of the land of the blue plater with the duck boats. You still see some, but you don't see as many as you used to. Guys aren't out chasing birds on the water anymore, because what did we do? We told everybody, hey, don't bust roosts. It's so much easier to hunt a dry field, things like that. And it's so much fun to watch mallards dumping into a cornfield or whatever the case may be. Canada geese, sometimes they're kind of easy, particularly early in the year, to be able to decoy into a cut cornfield or like a silage field early season or something like that. So now everybody with a trailer full of decoys is chasing that flock of geese when they come off the water. Next thing you know, you got 7 rigs circling a section trying to get on that same section. So it's become one of those situations where we've almost did it to ourselves by shaming people, like, hey, don't hunt that big public water over there where you could put 20 rigs, 20 decoy spreads on. Instead of now, there's 17 of those spreads, or 15, 3 spreads there now, and 15 spreads are out chasing the feeds. So it's a weird thing, and that's why you're seeing all these changes for non-resident regulations. Manitoba did it. Alberta made a change. North Dakota, South Dakota, of course, has got the lottery. In Saskatchewan now, non-residents will have 2 5-day periods in the fall to hunt waterfowl and 1 5-day period in the spring. That's all we know so far. We don't know if you can use them consecutively. We don't know if they're going to be spread between zones. I think Alberta did something where you could freelance for 7 days, and then if you're going to hunt more, you had to be with a guide. I can't remember how that one exactly worked, so I don't know if Saskatchewan's going to try to do something like that. But according to an article at OutdoorLife.com, Jordan Roswell, the SCPO board chair and the owner-operator of 12 Gauge Outfitting, said that this change to 5-day license terms is just meant to curb or make it more difficult for illegal outfitting to happen. It's not a silver bullet, but it's a step in the right direction. And the guides out there will know what's going on in Saskatchewan. They're the ones out there scouting. They're the ones out there trying to get on fields. They know all the farmers. They know the land. There's no question that some illegal guiding happens, and that most waterfowl hunters going to Saskatchewan are not going to go longer than 10 days up there. We're a bit in the minority because we can do this show on the road. We can travel and stay a little bit longer. We can pick our days. We work with tourism to promote people to come up there and hunt. So it's going to change our trips up there a little bit, which is unfortunate. And last fall we only hunted 7 or 8 days during our trip last year. Yeah,
and we were up there for about 2 weeks. So that was about 7 days that we spent eating groceries, driving around. We scouted every day, spending money on gas, and this just won't happen. And that's the really frustrating part for guys like us. Like the people like us who go up for a while have been accused of locking down all this land for other people, right. Taking up too much time, blah, blah, blah. We've never once paid for access. We never once have locked up a field we didn't hunt. We got, we've had permission on land, and then other locals will get the same permission on land and have at it. Like, we've never bottled anything up for anybody up there. So it's frustrating. And we've spent a crap ton of money in small towns. We never bring any groceries. We bring up 1 case of beer a piece, and we buy all our groceries. We buy a pile of food.
Yeah, we make it a point to spend money locally there. And there's a couple, some of the places we go, there's a couple small town, tiny little stores that just have delicious food. And we love going there and spending money. But, and last year we had that blizzard, and it completely shut us down, and we couldn't get into a field. So if we get up there for a 5-day trip and our first day, there's a big, wet, heavy blizzard, that shuts down access to all the fields, our trip's over.
Guess we're gonna have to go hunt water.
All right, we got to take a quick break, but I just sent you a Rainy River report from Paul Johnson. So let's come back and we'll have a brand new Rainy River report from Paul at Riverbend when we come back. Now is the time to start thinking about chasing big walleyes on Devil's Lake. Get on the fish at Haybale Heights Campground and Resort. Haybale Heights makes it easy for you to make memories on legendary Devil's Lake with guided fishing and lodging packages. Or bring your own boat and rent one of their cabins on East Bay. Haybale Heights offers a private marina, fish cleaning station, and the opportunity to relax and enjoy your bucket list trip to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. To book your trip, visit haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. All right, we're back. We got that Rainy River report from Paul Johnson coming up here in just a second. But I just want to wrap up what we were talking about with Saskatchewan just a little bit, because with this new change, we talked a little bit about it earlier, that what's happening out there is everybody's trying to chase feeds. Nobody's trying to bust roosts. And up there, a lot of times you're hunting migrators. The guide services up there are starting to grow and grow. Now, I've always kind of appreciated what Canada did with their guide services. And from what I hear, Alberta's got a pretty good system going. Saskatchewan, they limit the number of guides that can be in a zone, but they don't really put a cap on how big those guide services can get. So some of those guides are running, maybe 10, 20 hunts a day in different fields. So when you want to talk about locking up fields, it's the same here in the States. I mean, you look at some of the historic staging areas, Devil's Lake, Rochester, Lac Parle, some of these areas, Fergus Falls. Try to get on a field around Fergus Falls these days. Between the locals and the guide services, there's so many. Like, how many guide services do you think are in Fergus right now, David?
A dozen.
Yeah.
At least.
Isn't that crazy? So I think Minnesota should have a cap on how many guide services that can be in an area as well, as that should theoretically open things up for more freelancers and more hunting opportunities, maybe even cap the number of days or the number of clients. I think Manitoba actually did put a cap on how many clients the guide services, like they dropped their number. They actually did an audit on all their guide services in Manitoba and found out who was doing it right, who is actually guiding. Like, some of these guide services just held onto their guide license as a commodity and then used it as an investment and bought and sold them. So they weren't even getting used. So if you weren't using it, they got rid of it, pared it down to the ones that were actually operating, and they actually limit the number of clients that can come into Manitoba and hunt. So then you also have now that non-resident draw. So now they're actually limiting how many people total can waterfowl hunt in the fall in Manitoba from a non-resident standpoint in any case. So we'll see if that makes a difference in Saskatchewan or if that makes a difference somewhere else.
I don't think it will. I mean, it's just another restriction. It's a step in a scary direction of Saskatchewan residents and guides wanting to completely eliminate freelance hunting. If the average hunter doesn't come up for more than 5 days anyways, what's this going to fix?
The illegal guiding.
How?
So because right now you have to have a hunting license to guide. You have to have a hunting license out there. So what they're saying is that these Americans that are coming up, locking up land, they're bringing in a new group every 5 days or something like that and sticking around, just telling people, I got some buddies coming up that are going to hunt with me. And then a few weeks later, they're knocking on another door. Hey, I got some buddies that are coming up. You don't see any money getting exchanged. So you can't say, oh, you're guide. Like, there's no way to prove that it's illegal guiding. But if you make that guide now only be able to sit out there for 10 days legally with a license.
No point in coming up, I guess, then.
Have to go. That will change that.
Well, shout out to all those guys who ruined things for those of us doing it right.
Right. And
congratulations.
But to your point about the guides up there, I think would love to see a ban on all freelancers coming up to Saskatchewan. That scares me.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
You're going to turn a waterfowl hunt up there into a once-in-a-lifetime trip, just like a whitetail, which,
it would be a rich man's game.
Figure out your moose hunting problem up there before you try to solve a problem that might or might not exist.
So along those same lines, Saskatchewan's environment minister put a message out in a news release saying that these changes will help ensure our wildlife remains a shared public resource and that Saskatchewan residents see the greatest benefit. Now,
that's the way it should be.
We are all for the local residents, the local taxpayers, the ones that live there. We're all about them having the best opportunities.
100%.
No question. And I don't even know if this these, like, I'm not against these new rules in Saskatchewan. I'm just worried about what that next step might be.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see a ban on freelancers.
I always get nervous about any sort of restriction on hunting, whatever
Correct.
it is, and again, it might be what's been necessary, but it always makes me a little nervous.
So when the environment minister said, I want our Saskatchewan residents to see the greatest benefit, well, what about, I would like to see how many of those Saskatchewan guide services, the legal ones, are Saskatchewan residents. And how many of them are from Alberta? How many of them are from Manitoba? How many of them are from out of the province? Because if those people are coming into Saskatchewan and locking up all that land, Saskatchewan really isn't benefiting.
Right.
So we'll be curious to see what happens up there in Saskatchewan. Either way, I love Saskatchewan. I love going up there. And if this makes hunting better and offers better access for everyone, I'm all for it. Now, when it comes to ducks in Minnesota, there's a lot of different opinions. I'm sure we could make a whole nother show about that. We probably have, but maybe we'll see some changes here as well. There's a duck summit coming up this weekend, March 27 and 28 in Nicollet. I was reading Outdoor News to learn a little bit more about what's going on there. Basically, this came out of, there was an old duck managers. Let me see. I wrote it down here. What do they call themselves? Old duck managers group. They wrote this letter and it became this big thing. And they're like, the way Minnesota is regulating waterfowl right now is not sustainable. We need to see some changes. We want to get rid of the early seasons, the youth, the teal, things like that. Maybe shorten the season, maybe lower the limits. In my opinion, we're not at that level yet, especially when we're talking about birds that migrate through. If you want to talk about the local population, it's all about habitat. It's all about habitat and weather. Dave Traba from the DNR was quoted in this Outdoor News article saying, DNR will be there, and our goal is to have productive discussions on what drives waterfowl populations across North America, and equally productive discussion on what waterfowlers can do in Minnesota to move the needle forward on waterfowl conservation. So productive engagement, discussions, listening, and learning. So I think that's a big thing about what can people do? Like we filmed the hen houses and stuff like that. That's just a little thing that people can do when it comes to waterfowl conservation. But the biggest thing is you got to have water. Like last year, I mean, we saw more mallards last year than we have in recent years. And what was different?
It's more water.
We had more water. And it was probably a little drier maybe up north or in the Dakotas or something like that. So what I thought was really funny, though, is in that article, they had like links to related articles in there. And one of them was fewer hunters are chasing diving ducks. Would tweaking limits bring them back? What's going on with divers out there, you guys?
They blow through in like a week.
Yeah. So what would, if, I also think people aren't hunting divers as much anymore because they want to eat teal and mallards and wood ducks. They don't want to get in a duck boat. They don't want to go chase down a spot on Thief Lake where all of a sudden they come around a corner of the marsh there and there's another spread sitting there. They don't want to get up at 3 a.m. to go compete with 800 other boats. Plus, I don't think we have the freshwater shrimp anymore.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the biggest reasons you don't see as many divers as we used to. So I don't know about tweaking limits necessarily, but one of the other ones was...
what would you change? Lowering the limits?
I didn't read the article. I should have.
You can already shoot 6 goldeneyes. You can already shoot 6 ringbills. You can shoot 6 buffleheads. You can shoot... The only diver with a limit on it is, I guess, redheads and bluebills.
Yeah. And cans.
And cans.
But,
okay, so there are some, but you don't see enough cans to ever... Like, I've never, ever been on a hunt where man, if only we could have shot 6 cans, we'd have shot a limit. No, that's never happened. Or with bluebills or with redheads.
So redheads I have, and that may be the deal. Like we hunted Thief one time, actually.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, we hunted Thief. I don't know if you were on that trip, David, but there was like 5 of us. And the first flock came in, we're all like, brah, 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 brah. Oh, yeah. Birds are dropping all over the place. Oh, redhead. Oh, and
please be something else. Please
next flock comes in. It's like, brah, brah, brah. Oh, redhead. Like first 2 groups, first 10 minutes of the morning, our redhead limit was done.
Yeah.
And then we sat and watched. We had to let these birds land because the Thief was so loaded with redheads that 90% of the flocks that came in were straight redheads. And all of a sudden we'd see like a ringbill or something like, oh, everybody be shooting at the one duck, it'd just be hamburgered by the time the dog brought it back. So I don't know, that might be it, where if you're going to put in the effort to set a spread, put a duck boat out there, put a blind on your boat and go out there, maybe you want to be able to shoot a couple more. If you're in a rare situation, Dan.
That's the thing. I think that's a rare situation, whatever.
I don't know.
You're going to,
But the other article that I thought was kind of comical is they're teaching you how to effectively jump shoot ducks.
Tell you what, jump shooting is the reason I'm a duck hunter. I grew up doing that. Grew up walking through the woods with my dad and my grandpa. And we'd jump shoot like 2 wood ducks a day.
Sure.
And it was great. And that's the reason I'm a duck hunter. We liked it. We enjoyed it. And then we started to actually set decoys and decoying ducks. And we're like, holy cow, this is amazing. And we got away from that. But that's how I started duck hunting. Yeah. That's why I'm a duck hunter.
I did it too.
I did quite a bit of it.
I don't do it anymore.
No, but I mean, I'm not sure that's something we need to necessarily make fun of. It's a way to hunt, and we can agree or disagree with it. But
at the same time, it's like, how to effectively, spot ducks in a pond, sneak up on it.
Yeah.
Shoot them.
Okay, so let's go back to what I just said. It's the way I learned how to duck hunt. Say you're a first-time duck hunter. You don't have a dog. You don't have decoys. You want to get into it. And you
write the article.
You have no idea where to start. You're going to read an article on it.
All right.
Fair point.
We make fun of some of these things, like how blatantly obvious it seems to us. We have to remember we've all been doing this our entire lives, right? There are people out there who have no mentor or no other resource to learn how to hunt. Correct. That you're going to read an article.
No, you're right. It just seemed kind of comical to me because
it seems very obvious.
It's not. It does seem rocket
obvious,
science. And
setting decoys seems obvious too, but it's not.
Well, and the thing about setting decoys is it costs a lot of money too. So a jump shoot is a lot cheaper for people, especially when they're starting out. But if you're going to jump shoot snow geese, this is the problem I have with jump shooting, especially snows in the spring. There's going to be some mistake birds a lot of the times. And Tuesday, March 17th, Wildlife Conservation Officer Logan Hammer responded to a report of individuals conducting a jump shoot and a group of geese. This is actually in a field, it looks like. In South Dakota, upon investigation, they located multiple white-fronted geese that had been killed and left behind. So they grabbed their snows and went, oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then bolted, but they got busted as well. They should. So if you are going to jump shoot, make sure you're shooting things that are legal.
If you're decoying, make sure you're shooting things that are legal.
Well, that's true,
so let's
too.
also not be naive to the fact that a lot of I don't want to say a lot, but specks also get shot in the spring and decoy spreads because they tend to fly with snow. So and they look a lot like a juvie blue.
They can. The young specks can.
Yeah.
They don't have any bars, but obviously they make a different noise.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying it's an easy mistake to make. I'm just saying it happens.
It's much different than a jump shoot.
I understand. I'm just saying it also happens in decoy spreads.
Never happens in decoy spreads.
Be naive to the fact that it happens there too.
Oh man, when we were guiding, it was. That's the thing. If you're guiding and it happens, the guide can get the ticket as well too. So it's so important to know what's getting shot. I definitely saw it once or twice. Not in my spread, thankfully, but it definitely happened. All right, I'm not going to make it to that duck summit because I'll be at the Minnesota DNR Fisheries Summit, which is March 28th in Brainerd. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about LiveScope. This is their annual
Follow the science.
Annual work group get together. So there's a bunch of different work groups. So I'm on the technology work group. There's a walleye work group. I think there's a panfish work group, probably a muskie one, a bunch of other ones.
Catfish.
And then once a year they all get together. This year it's March 28th in Brainerd. We're going to be talking about the walleye limit, proposed walleye limit reduction, rough fish limits, the long range muskie plan, and more. This is not open to the public. But if you want, I'm sure all these same things are going to get talked about at the Min Fish Summit, which is right after April 17th at Arrowwood in Alexandria. That one is open to the public if you want to go and make your voice heard. All right, we'll talk about what happens at that fishery summit next week here on the show. Just a couple more things.
All right, I'll see you guys there.
And then we'll get that Rainy River report for you. The most recent Minnesota moose population estimate is 4,470 animals. According to the DNR, 26 population survey, they say it's remained stable since 2009. It was about 8,000 in 2009. So what happened that made that population stable since then? This is the weirdest thing for me. I'll tell you what, maybe we should take a break and then let's do the let's do this here real quick. It's weird that we lose so many moose each year. It's weird that we lose so many moose that year and then it'd be just stable after that. Like, was there something wrong with the counts? Did they get more accurate all of a sudden? That something just seems weird because all of a sudden now we're at almost 4,500, which is probably about the highest it's been since that drop off. They're saying it's been around 30. They say it's remained stable around 3,700, and there is some plus or minus factored into this population estimate. But to be at 4,500 right now, in the fact that we don't have any sort of limited draw moose hunt in the state, like, none of this stuff makes sense to me when it comes to the moose hunt here in Minnesota. All right, there are just a couple other things that I want to get to, but we should probably break. But first, here is your Rainy River report from Paul Johnson at Riverbend Resort.
We're looking east at Nelson Landing here, towards the rapids, where the rapids end there. And we are open water right out in front of the landing. And then as we are looking west, I'm going to guess and say that's about a half to a quarter mile open west of Nelson Landing there. So it's making its way towards Frontier, making its way towards town, making its way towards Riverbend out at the point. So,
sick of eating tag soup? It's time to own your odds this fall with OnX Hunt, the GPS hunting app trusted by millions of hunters. Now you'll have access to nationwide public and private land ownership information, waypoints, optimal win for each stand, tracks, and much more. All at your fingertips. Go to onxmaps.com/hunt and use code SJR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your membership. That's code SJR20. All right, we are back here on the show, and we are real excited about the SJR 500. Coming April 7th and 8th, Rainy River. They had the Rainy River report there that we just watched. I cannot wait, you guys. I cannot wait. All right, let's listen to this part right here.
April 7th and 8th are the days for the SJR 500, presented by Raceport and Marine.
Hell yeah.
The SJR 500, it's more awesome.
David, how are you going to do a more awesome sturgeon stash this year?
I don't know. I've been trying to come up with something. I know anything I go with, my wife will be super excited about. I guarantee it.
Is she super excited about anything you do? Like, I swear, I feel like when you grow your
Just
beard
saw the
out, she
picture
gets
from last year,
mad.
and she went, "That's not your best look."
She doesn't go, so her opinion's not valid.
Anytime I post a picture of my sturgeon mohawk and everything that I did here last year, generally anytime I just post a picture of this, whether it's the sturgeon stash or not, people are like, you shouldn't do that look anymore.
The funniest one, this is like a month ago. I was at a funeral in town here, which that's not funny. I shouldn't laugh when I say I was at a funeral. Right. But your neighbor pulls me aside.
Yeah.
Sweet old lady.
That's who I thought of.
Pulls me aside, grabs my arm, and I thought she was going to say something like, very, sad. We're at a funeral. Like, I just showed up, and she grabs my arm, pulls me aside. She's like, tell your uncle that he doesn't need to do that haircut ever again. All right, good to see you.
Come on.
I said, good to see you. Laughed. Just in the middle of a sad, quiet funeral, and I'm trying to not laugh my butt off here. Good times.
Sturgeon mohawk was epic.
Look at this guy.
It was epic.
It was more awesome.
I'm telling you. So I'm not gonna do the sturgeon mohawk this year. So
there you go, Judy. Breaking news.
But I'm gonna do something with this. I haven't figured it out yet. I don't know.
I think you should just shave it all off. Every bit of it.
Well, that would defeat the purpose of a sturgeon stash contest. But
well, you'd just be a juvenile sturgeon. A pre-puberty sturgeon.
If you have any ideas of what we should do for the sturgeon stash contest, comment below.
I gotta tell this another funny story from our sturgeon stash and everything. So like if I pull this poster up, you can look at the sturgeon logo there.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
It's got a mustache, and apparently those eyes to some people are blue.
Right.
I had somebody message me after they saw the logo, and they're like, "Oh, sturgeon have blue eyes?" Like that's what you noticed? Like, do sturgeon have mustaches?
Right.
You realize that's a cartoon and not a real picture.
Yeah.
Like we didn't snap that with the Canon R5.
Yeah, that wasn't underwater footage right there.
So if you thought that was real, Santa Claus is also not real. I shouldn't say that. There might be 6-year-olds that listen to this show.
Yeah, cut
you know
that
what?
out.
Whoops.
Is real is our underwater
Santa
camera
Claus.
on the migration highway. Should we show that this week? take a quick peek in at Riverbend at the Migration Highway. There it is. There are the walleyes. Look like
What's going on with the poster?
I don't know.
What
Fish
the heck?
hunt fervor.
Hang on.
Forward.
Is there English on this?
Oh my goodness.
Amud Rivera.
What's going on with my face?
I have no idea. I don't know. Catch and releer.
Who are the other people?
It's the Rainy Rear
nobody
Fishing
knows.
Concrete.
Is that contract? You don't have to sign a contract.
The Rays Sport and Marine logo is almost right.
Wait a second.
Where'd
it go? Why? Wait, watch the. It
Does it
fades
change?
in.
What fades in the logo?
The Rays Marine logo.
Do it
Look
again,
at that.
do it again.
So.
Look at that. What? What does it say there?
I don't know. Not English.
What is going on? Go home, AI.
Also, okay. Also, look at the bottom where our website's supposed to be. Does that say like saltwater or something?
I don't know.
Oh man.
It changes. It fades away. More details. Our website's almost right, and then the website just disappears.
So I literally gave AI our poster and said, just put this up like a billboard next to the Migration Highway. Like the Riverbend Resort.
Yeah, that one's
They get
billboard
that one
looks
right
good.
somehow.
Play it again, though. You guys just skipped right past the boat that's above us in this thing.
Yeah.
Wait.
Look at how many props there are.
What's going on with this?
It's just got triple 300s.
I noticed it. Yeah.
Or
on the side.
Or it's got crappie brakes on their trolling motors for some reason,
Yeah,
or their
I
power
don't know
poles. Then
what's
for some
going
reason
on
their
there.
poles are on the side.
On the side.
Man,
Some sort of riverboat, paddle boat.
I don't know.
I want one.
Anyway, April 7th and 8th, the SGR 500, presented by Ray Sport Marine. Heavy Hauler will have gearboxes to give away. Chef Roberts, first 50 people that are in the tournament that come up to us at Riverbend Resort will get a free bag of gourmet breading from Chef Roberts. We've got some contingency prizes if you're wearing Fish Hunt Forever gear in your winning photos for the biggest sturgeon or biggest walleye. We'll give you an extra $150 cash. If it's a state record, we'll give you another $150 as well. All right, find out more details at fishhuntforever.com. Prairie Sportsman, by the way, a really cool episode coming up this week. We should probably play that promo real quick for people. Coming up on the next Prairie Sportsman, heart transplant recipient Mark Lehman enjoys his first pheasant hunt since surgery.
Sure good to be out pheasant hunting again.
Then, we learn the history of the Minnesota DNR's non-game wildlife program as it approaches its 50th anniversary.
Having been selected for the role of supervising this program into the future is a huge honor for me.
So you'll be able to watch that Sunday night at 7:30 on Pioneer PBS, which can be seen in a lot of places in the state. I think DirecTV, Dish Network carries, I think it's Channel 10, somewhere on there. Check your listings. If you're in Southwest Minnesota, Pioneer PBS has got, you can catch it over the air with an antenna, or you can just go to the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel as well. That'll be available at noon on Sunday. But Mark came up from Texas. It was his first pheasant hunt since he got a new heart. I was so scared. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to find the easiest walk for pheasants for this guy.
Yeah, here's a half a mile of cattails, just right through the middle.
See you when you get to the other side.
Yeah.
Or you don't.
I was so scared. But you'll be able to see that episode coming up this weekend on Prairie Sportsman. All right, guys. This is the world we're headed towards if things keep going the way they're going. Each year, it seems like we get proposals for more and more attacks on the hunting world. There's a proposal. Illinois Democrats are proposing a new tax on hunters and firearm enthusiasts in Illinois. Starting January 2027, if this goes through, Illinois firearms owners, hunters, and marksmen will pay a 5-cent tax per round of ammunition. Per round. Think about the guys that go to the range and plink, or target shoot, practice, whatever. The thousands of rounds.
Just a 30-round banana clip with just 22 ammo. Do the math. What's 30 times 5?
Plus, that's
okay.
Oh, I'm not doing it. I was told there'd be no math.
audience can do it.
Yeah. Look it up on your phone.
Yeah. I think it just makes me think of the math teachers in high school. Like, you can't use a calculator.
You won't have
gonna
that.
have
You
one
won't
on
in
your
your
day.
pocket.
Yeah.
Joke's on you, Mrs. Warner.
Don't even need that anymore. You can just, hey Alexa, what's 30 times 5 cents?
$1.50.
30 times 5 cents equals $1.50.
That's
David
what I was
beat
going to
AI.
say.
Look at that. Well, anyway. Plus, but that's not even the worst part about this. Plus, they want to have a serial number on every round of ammunition.
Whoa.
It's a pretty small serial number on a 22.
Yeah. Think about the ammo. There's no way the ammo companies have way too much pull to like. Do you think they're going to print a serial number on every round?
Hey, what bullet did you shoot your deer with this year? Oh, it was X4 ZY Z2 7
QR code on everyone.
My gosh. All right.
And it's, by the way, it's pronounced Illinois, and the state is garbage. Like if I had to rank all 50 states, Illinois is number 51.
All right.
Canada is ranked higher than Illinois.
Here's kind of a neat story in Minnesota. Remember, you guys remember?
Minnesota's number 50 on the list.
Remember this back in the 70s when there were no turkeys in the state of Minnesota? You guys remember that?
You know, actually, Brett,
Nope.
I don't.
So we traded Missouri some rough grouse for some turkeys, and then at one point I guess they tried to introduce Merriam's here, and they didn't do very well.
Really?
The Easterns though are just tough. I was going to say a different word that I'm not going to say on the radio, but Easterns are tough birds. They did amazing. And we've talked many times on the show how northern Minnesota is getting turkeys everywhere. Heck, Dan, we've seen them in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Some of our trips to Saskatchewan, we'll see them along the roads. Well, I saw this post on Facebook from Lucas Owen. Hello, Ely. I'm a college student at Vermilion. I'm working on a wildlife management plan on wild turkeys. I'm wondering if much of the community has seen wild turkeys in or around the Ely area. I've heard that there is a small population south of Ely, closer to the Hibbing area. I'm willing to drive to observe these birds. If anyone has seen or heard of them, get a hold of them. And he says PM or leave him a comment on there. But how cool is that to have turkeys up in Ely?
Yeah.
I'll be curious if they stick around. We've seen that in some parts of southern Minnesota where the population really boomed and then they kind of hit a carrying capacity and petered out. The populations in northern Minnesota are relatively new. So I'll be curious in 10 years if we look back and say, are there still going to be turkeys south of Ely? Well, maybe not, but it is cool just to see how they've expanded, how they've adapted to. How long have you done radio?
It's all right.
I suppose they didn't have cell phones when you started radio, so you didn't have to silence them.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to go down the road of why my phone, I have to silence it and turn it off silent. It's
okay, boomer.
I knew that was coming.
Let me ask this question.
Something with the new iPhones.
What was the best trade let's rank trades in Minnesota history?
Oh, Quinn Hughes. I knew exactly where you were going.
All right, fine.
Wild turkeys or Quinn Hughes? What was a better trade?
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the wild turkeys, and I will. You're spot on, and I think the one worry I have with the Ely area is how many are going to get eaten by wolves up there.
Yeah, we've worried about that in the Bemidji area and Hackensack area, or north central Minnesota. There's plenty of wolves around there.
There's just definitely more up in Ely. I'm curious though if those were turkeys were introduced in that area, or if they just expanded there.
I think they've just expanded.
Probably just,
which is
I think
amazing.
they just keep marching north.
They're tough birds, man.
They hop into a line and just, all right, guys, we're going. We're invading. And they have. I mean, that's where I've shot all my turkeys, are up north. It was in college. I haven't shot a turkey anywhere else except where I went to college.
So you miss one.
I forgot about that. I didn't completely miss it.
Well, that's why you don't bow hunt turkeys.
I have not bow hunted turkey since.
Yeah, that's right. All right, that's cool. And I got one last bit of good news for Minnesota. What is the one problem with the meat raffles? I got worried when I saw this headline because there's a bill that's going to change meat raffles in Minnesota.
You said you had news from the legislature to share with us that you weren't going to tell us what it is. I thought we were going to talk about the snowmobile and ATV on public land thing. Nope.
Meat raffles.
Meat raffles.
What is more important? You'll never be able to use a snowmobile on state land ever again. But
I kind of forgot about that one.
We can make more money off meat raffles. Let's go.
Minnesota legislators are considering bills HF 4090 and SF 4515 to update meat raffle regulations, which have not changed much like the walleye limits, they haven't changed since the 1980s. I don't know why I started trying to sound like Trump there for a second, but it's gonna be huge. The new meat raffle. It's gonna be a success. Make meat raffles great again.
Big success.
The proposals would increase the maximum ticket price from $2 to $5.
I love it.
Raise the maximum prize value from $70 to $200 to account for inflation and rising meat.
No way.
So if your meat raffle could only afford fun dogs, now you're getting
what a terrible meat raffle. I don't know, every meat raffle.
We're getting Wagyu.
Every meat raffle I've been a part of has had great selection. Although you end up spending $75 and you win one round for like a $5 ham, but then you eat that ham and you're a winner and you go home and you feel like a great human being.
What a great tradition in Minnesota.
I didn't ever realize that was like such a Minnesotan thing until we watched that video with Wonton Don. Yes, that's a real human being from Barstool Sports.
Right.
And they came and toured a bunch of stuff in Minnesota. They went to an accordion museum. Well, that's in Wisconsin, I guess. They went to the Mall of America, blah, blah, blah. And then they went to a meat raffle and that blew their minds, which I mean, that's just been a staple in our lives. Like I think it's great. Meat raffles are sweet.
The SJR 500. We should do a meat raffle at the SJR 500 this year.
Have you ever run one?
Well,
it's a lot of work.
I just want to win some meat. That's all.
Well, you can't win one if you're running it.
Well, I don't have to run it. I'll let Paul
You just said we should do one.
Well, yeah, Paul should do one.
Okay.
The SJR 500, which will be selling 2026 mugs this year. You'll be able to get one of those and then fill it with a really good deal on beer. We're going to do $3.50 Busch Lights
for a 20-ounce beer.
It's a heck of a deal.
So let's do the math. Most cheap bars around Minnesota are $4 for a 12-ounce Busch Light. So do the math. I think we tried to do this math last week.
We did.
And
I figured it out after the show. It's like 10.
You're getting paid 50 cents to drink 8 ounces.
Your money ahead after 10. So 3 nights, 3 beers a night.
I was told there'd be no math. Once again, get the calculator. Hey Alexa. All right, so there's a limited supply of mugs, though. So that first night that you get to Riverbend, get your mug and then enjoy that Busch Light special the rest of the trip. All right, we're going to talk Rainy River and Lake of the Woods with Joe Henry, and we come back. If you want to catch a big walleye, go where the big walleyes are. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world, with a variety of resorts and lodging facilities offering full-service fishing. Lake of the Woods is also home to sturgeon, sauger, perch, trophy pike, muskie, smallmouth bass, burbot, and more. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods today. Go to lakeofthewoodsmn.com. That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com. All right, it is time for Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism. Joe, we are getting so close to the SJR 500, April 7th and 8th, April 6th, 7th, and 8th, realistically, up there on the Rainy River. And we saw that report from Paul Johnson, Paul and Brandy at Riverbend Resort earlier in the show about Birchdale. Like, things are starting to look pretty good, Joe, which we knew it was going to happen.
If that doesn't get a person, if that doesn't get a person jacked up, I don't know what will. I'm surprised you don't have those 2 young bucks, David and Danny, pushing a boat over that ice to get to that open water, because boy, I tell you what, it's game on. People see that open water, I guarantee there's gonna be boats going up there right now.
Joe, I'm not saying I am, but I'm also not saying I'm not going fishing this weekend. It's not off the table. Brett's got to go to the DNR Summit. I don't.
It's a good chance.
I might go fishing.
Well, and it's funny because when you hear, we got up there a little bit earlier than most people, and we got 40 that were over 25, and those are now is the time you hear some of those numbers, don't you?
That's yeah. Then that's I don't know what to say, because I really want to go, but I have no plans.
I cannot wait.
We get those days too on April 7th and 8th. Yeah. April 7th and 8th are special days. We've never held the tournament those days, but they're special days.
Pretty close. I mean, it's always the last Tuesday and Wednesday of the walleye season up there, and I mean, we fishing is fishing, right? You're going to have off years, you're going to have slow days and things like that. But I mean, my gosh, last year I think we only had the 2 accesses open, so it was kind of a late open last year a little bit.
3.
Was there 3?
Yep.
But we had a great year catching walleyes up there last year. The year before, I think we were fishing in the Gap and caught a pile of walleyes. The year before, we caught a pile of sturgeon.
Well, of course, I wasn't up there last year. That's right. So I can't say. I'm thinking about the year before.
Well,
So,
the year
yeah.
before was when things at Birchdale were like
Insane.
bonkers. And we had the water open right in front of the resorts, and all of us would look at each other each morning like, our boats are on the dock here. Do we just walk down and fish here, or do we go all the way up to Birchdale? And we were stubborn and stayed, but kind of regretted that one because you and Greg Jones went up that way. I don't know if you were all the way up at Birchdale or wherever you were, but you guys crushed.
Yeah, well, yeah, we did all right. But we didn't do great day one. We didn't do great day one. We did okay. And then day two is when we found a pile of fish, and it was just a different spot that we fished, and we found them, and they just kept sliding in there. And what we were doing, we were fishing a current seam. So just fishing the edge of the current and letting our jigs float in that current. And then there was just a little bit of slack water, and we'd work that edge, right? That's where those, this time of year, those walleyes can be anywhere, in the main river under rocks. They can be right in the main current, hugging tight to the bottom. But more often than not, boy, they love hugging those current seams if they can. Just getting out of that current a little bit, And we found them. I'll tell you, this time of year too, it's so much fun because you use those jigs with those big plastics, and you lift that thing up. We don't get real radical in our jigging because of that cold water, but you lift that thing up and you let it drop, and you lift it up and you let it drop, and you can see your line stop prematurely, and you set the hook and it just doubles over. I mean, it got to a point where I'm like, I think it's another 26.
Yeah.
And seriously, and
yeah.
and then you set the hook and you're like, this might be a better one,
I think we were calling some of the lengths last year because we were catching so many that we were getting pretty good. Like, oh yeah, this one feels like this, this one feels like this. And I was fishing with like heavy gloves on, and it didn't matter. Like there was no finesse to it. You didn't need to feel anything. Like they came up and just tried to rip the rod out of your hand. It was so much fun. The one thing we didn't do last year at all, though, was sturgeon fish.
We did for about 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah, because we were eating lunch.
During lunch.
And you caught like a 24-inch walleye.
Yeah.
On sturgeon rig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Funny.
Yeah.
Well, remember that one year, I don't know if you guys remember, but Bret McComas of Target Walleye, he was using like a kind of a mocked up smaller sturgeon rig for walleyes. And the reason they were is because he says, geez, we're fishing for sturgeon. We're catching all these walleyes. What if we'd rig something up that had a little bit smaller hook and just a little bit more appropriate for walleyes? And they crushed them on a mock sturgeon rig. I guess you could call it a walleye rig now because it was made for walleyes. But that was kind of cool. And it just goes to show there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. But when you guys talk about sturgeon fishing, and for listeners, you might hear, geez, all these sturgeon. Everybody's talking about these sturgeon up the Rainy River. The Minnesota DNR estimates that from Morrison, Ontario, down through the northwest angle through Lake of the Woods, which is Big Traverse Bay, and into the Rainy River, they estimate that there's about 100,000 sturgeon over 40 inches long. There's a pile of sturgeon. Arguably, we have the best sturgeon fishery for sure in the Midwest. And I mean, there's so many of them. Now, with that being said, especially in the spring, they're not that hard to catch. If you can get some a little bit bigger gear, if you have some heavier pike gear, you can pick up some catfish rods and reels at retail is fairly reasonably priced, just because they make a lot of that stuff for the South, musky gear, whatever. But if you have a little bit heavier tackle, and then all you need is a no-roll sinker, usually 3 to 5 ounces based on the current, but a flat no-roll sinker, it does exactly what it says. It'll stay put on the bottom of the river. And then you use a sturgeon rig. Tom's Tackle makes sturgeon rigs up at Lake of the Woods. You can buy them pre-made. And all that is an 18-inch, basically like a snell, like a leader snell that's made of 60-pound test with a circle hook on it. I want to say it's like a 3 or 4-aught circle hook, if I'm not mistaken. But you put that on that no-roll sinker, which is a slip sinker, and it's a super simple rig. And then you just load that hook with as many night crawlers as you can, and then or night crawlers combined with frozen emerald shiners. You get, as a rule, and there's different places you can fish them. You can fish them in a hole, on the side of a hole where they slide up. Lots of techniques. The bottom line is, if you go to the upward slope of a hole in the river, the thought is they're going to sit in that hole. They're going to smell your scent. They're going to follow your scent trail up that bank, and they're going to come and find your bait. And then when they hit, your rod tip isn't going to go into the water. It's going to be tap, 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 tap. It's their lips doing it. And you know, when you set the hook, you don't set it real hard because you get that circle hook. You just reel it down tight and pull it real tight. What'll happen is that circle hook, if it's down deep, it's a very conservation-minded hook. It'll slide out and hook that sturgeon in the lips. And it's kind of fun, you know, in addition to getting different size sturgeon, I mean, you can catch everything from a state record down to really small ones that kind of have the sharp scoots on their side. And by the way, scoots are those fins that are kind of sharp on top and sharp on the sides. They're sharp when they're young to protect them from predation. Oop. But as they get older, those fish will get so big, those scoots mellow out. They get duller, but now there's still a hard armor, and those fish are so big that they have natural, you know, protection just because of their size and their hard shell. But and then you're going to get your eel pout. You'll get some eel pout doing it. You might get some suckers. You might get some bullheads. You might get some walleyes and stalkers. It's just kind of a fun, and it's relaxing. You know, you're anchored up or locked. Most people anchor up because of the current. They don't want to weigh down their battery. But you're anchored up, and then you just relax. It's enjoyable.
Oh, it's so much fun, and it's so easy, honestly. It doesn't take much gear, and it does. I mean, the best time we've had on that river, I mean, other than when you're catching walleye after walleye after walleye, is sitting back while Tony cooks up something on the flat top in the bow of his boat and brings it over to us. And Jamie's probably got music playing out of his boat, and we're all anchored up next to each other.
We have to tell him to turn it off so we don't get a YouTube copyright strike, and he yells at us.
Exactly. It's a very social.
You better hope whoever's leading the show there, Tony or Jamie, you better hope they pick a good spot, because it sounds like you're going to be fishing right next to them.
Well, we can grab our food, and the beauty of outboard motors is we can move.
Yeah, that's true. But
I mean, don't do what Scott did last year. Dump his whole plate
in his boat. Tuna salad. I bet his boat reeked. Tuna salad.
I've been so mad. I felt so bad for him too, because that sandwich is delicious. That was at Philly, wasn't it? That was,
I don't know what it was.
Just delicious sandwich, but there was a lot on it, so the sandwich goes spilling all over the place. But then, the tuna salad, like he's probably still finding pieces of that, you know, the next year in the nooks and crannies of his boat. It probably smelled amazing.
Funny. Isn't that ironic though? You know, you fish all year in your boat, and you're spilling minnows, you're spilling night crawlers, you got dirt, you got eggs and everything else from fish. You got fish flopping in there, you got pike with their slime, and then you worry about a little bit of tuna salad.
Well, it's tuna.
Mayo-based.
It's tuna. I think the funniest is how we're ice fishing with literal maggots, waxworms.
Yeah.
Literal maggots. If we went anywhere to any restaurant and we were eating our pizza and there's a maggot 2 feet from us, we're never going there again. But we're ice fishing, and one hand you're eating a hot dog or something. Hey, pass me the waxworms. I got to put another one on my
You're
hook.
not even washing your hands.
No, you're like basically putting them on your food. Like one hand you have wax. Like,
I'm not going that far.
You wipe it on your pants. Or you're good.
But we're fishing, so germs don't count when you're fishing.
Right. Yeah.
Don't forget fun dogs.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I would rather eat a fun dog than actually, I don't know if I'd rather eat a fun dog than a maggot.
That all builds your system.
Wait a minute.
Have you ever eaten a fun dog?
Do we need to do a preposterous statement of the year?
A what statement?
Preposterous statement of the year.
Have you ever eaten?
Did he say preposterous?
Yeah.
Hippopotamus.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't do math, can't talk. How long have you done?
I'm the one that said I'm the one that said the 500.
Right.
Well, let's just not gloss over the fact that Dan said he'd rather eat a maggot than a fun dog. All right, that's
a fun dog is basically made out of.
I know what it is.
Maggots. Well, hang on.
Sure can
I choose where the maggot orient's from? Because I don't want just a random maggot from a carcass on the side of the road. I want a waxworm from a cooler.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure about it.
I think that's where they grow. The spikes you get at the bait shop is they grow them on fun
but
dogs.
at least I don't. Yes, exactly. This is two hypotheticals in one show. It's kind of.
Maybe we should do a video up at the SGR 100 with a fun dog and a magnet just to kind of
wait.
Taste test.
The what? The what tournament? The SJR Harf.
The
SJR
500.
I heard SJR 100.
That's what I heard too.
No. The SGR 500.
I heard just SJR 100. We've gone backwards 609 shows. We love you, Joe.
Ah, man.
Is it going to be? Is it 709?
I think it'll be 7:09 when we're up there. It's 7:07 right now, and then we're going to do a show next week because we do it every week. And then, it'll be 7:09. Looking at the calendar right now. Mm-hmm. Look at that. The SJR 709. That rolls off the tongue.
What?
Someone's got
This is a moment in history!
Someone's got to take your button bar away.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get this bit.
What now?
I don't know.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Look at hey, Danny. Is he having fun with those sounds? Look at him. Look through that computer.
I don't know if he understands button bars. What happened?
He turned me off.
Oh, wow.
Wow, Dan. I had a perfect one there, too.
It sounds like it.
Danny feels good to be the king, eh?
Doesn't it? God dang. It's the one day a week I have any sort of power. 6 out of 7, I'm just helpless. But Wednesday afternoons.
I don't get it.
You don't get it.
That's the one I was trying to play, and he muted me. Like, it completely went against what you were trying to say.
You're really scared of this thing, huh?
You're really scared of this thing, aren't you?
You're just pressing buttons.
He's just hitting them all now.
It's like when you get in the elevator, you just go,
Yeah.
we're going up to every floor.
All right.
I like
anyway.
talking about sturgeon fishing more than talking about whatever this turned into.
Oh, no!
You know what? Well, Danny, maybe we can talk sturgeon fish while Brett plays around with the sound effects.
You and I, how about you and I just do the show?
What we're dealing with here is
Danny,
a
what are you? Danny,
complete
you got a lot of stuff in your
lack
life.
of
I know your mom and dad
respect.
have.
Yeah.
What, Joe?
So what other things do you need when you go sturgeon fishing, Danny? Just to kind of prepare, kind of plan ahead.
A big net or a lasso.
Yeah, a big net or tail lasso.
You need or a good friend that answers the phone who has a net.
Yeah, like that guy right there.
I would never.
David.
We've ran into that issue. The one time David doesn't answer his phone.
And who had his net?
Joe Henry did.
Joe Henry
had the net anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're walleye fishing. We hooked into Greg Jones. I think hooked into a big sturgeon. I think it was Greg, and he hooked into a big sturgeon. So we asked if we could borrow the net. So we borrowed the net. It took a while to get that fish in, and I think you guys needed it because you hooked into one. Then is that what it was?
I think you guys were still fighting it, and we're running back to the landing to leave, and we're like, we'll just pick it up from you back at Riverbend. So we were on our way back. I think we drove by you guys.
Probably. You saw us hooked up and just said, "Oh, look at those bums."
I don't think we saw you hooked up,
that'd be a
but
Scott thing to do.
That's
actually,
why I didn't answer. Is because we were.
Oh, Dan
on
needs
plane.
help. Too bad.
On plane, I didn't hear my phone.
Well, what was crazy about our catch is we were anchored, and then as I hooked into that fish, the ice flow
Shifted.
And all of a sudden, next thing you know, we got just chunks of ice bouncing off the front of Dan's boat. So he's trying to drop the troller, he's trying to pull up the anchor, and then I'm trying to fight this fish, and I'm literally dodging icebergs. And trying to go to, I don't know how and then we didn't have a net, so we figured it was like a 60-pound fish. So eventually I reached down and grabbed the tail, and
I think it was like 64 inches. It was a big sturgeon.
Yeah, it's the biggest one I've ever caught, and it was fat. Like I think it was, whatever it was, low 60s, but the girth on it was like it was.
See if I can find it.
It was a fat sturgeon.
Yeah.
It was heavy. And that's the year. That's the video on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. And there I am dodging icebergs. Is Dan? Oh no, that's still Dan. But
I don't know. Oh, did I catch one? Oh yeah, I caught one. There it is.
There it is, right there. Yeah. So Dan is like freaking out in the front of the boat, trying to lift the anchor. We got the phone is just sitting in the boat with brrring, brrring. Like we're just trying to call you guys to find the net. And 800 other things are going on. Then finally, I was able to reach over to a chorus of applause from all the other boats.
A lot of
watching
howling.
us struggle. Yeah, a lot of howling.
Well, that is a big sturgeon.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I think that's the biggest one you've ever caught, right? Isn't that a PB?
You can actually see the no-roll sinker there, and look at that fish.
Yeah, that was a PB for sure. Look at the belly sag. And I'm not even. We measured the girth, and I'm not even sure we measured the girth in the fattest part, but we figured it was around 60 some pounds. So not the biggest in the river, of course, but the biggest one I've ever caught up there. Gosh, that was fun.
Look at that motor.
I could not wait to get back up there and do it again. April 7th and 8th for me, April 6th, 7th, and 8th. Dan might get up there a little bit sooner. But Joe, if people want to plan a trip to the Rainy or start thinking summer trips up to Lake of the Woods this year or maybe up to the Northwest Angle, what should they do?
I'll tell you what, if you have any inclination to go to the Rainy River, get ready, because based on today, it's Wednesday.
Game on.
River's open in front of Birchdale. Get ready. If you want to get up there, now is the time. Watch it. Watch social media. Check out our website, lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Thanks for listening to the Fish Hunt Forever show. Download the Fish Hunt Forever podcast wherever you get podcasts or watch on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. If you like today's show, please give us a 5-star review. Find past shows, articles, news about regulations, and more at fishhuntforever.com.